We can talk about a lot today because now we're just farming. Yeah, because they did a huge FU to your region. I can't really, I'll probably, the only reason I could comment on that is it's the other way around, generally speaking. It's not the other way around. But from someone who's living in that country or in that region, you might take it that way, but it's actually the other way around. That's why games seem to always overlook, developers and publishers overlook that region. Coming from more of a business standpoint. It's hard for me to believe that you personally don't mind it when you quote it in FU. It sounds pretty personal, in my opinion. You don't have to be mad about it to be personal about it. But yes, I imagine localizing Final Fantasy games to your region might be very difficult. For the publishers. Perhaps you play it in English? I don't know. That was a bit worrying, not for me, but for the tons of fans. That is not true. I'm gonna call you on that one. That's making an excuse for, that's moral grandstanding. It's kind of like saying, I hate this game, but I'm worried about all the people that hate this game too. So that's just my take on what you just said. I heard you. You love the games. Yeah. It's still relevant on how you use their potential fans as an argument for your own selfish motivations. Yeah. So it's kind of like I guess justice is a good example actually. Social justice. But you're using it as a guise for your own intentions. That's just, you don't have to believe me or anything. That's how I'm getting the impression of. Like in MCU, right? The Punisher. Like, the Punisher, in the name of justice, does his vigilantism, but it's not because he's worried about his own motivations of loss and dealing with his own grief, but he uses it as a justification to protect other people. It's other people's dangers that justify his actions, not because he's hurting inside from his own loss. The intent is great. Like, I'm glad you're so compassionate about all the fans that got shafted by not having the local translation because you love the game. Learning English is the exception. I can't really. It's difficult for me to relate because, you know, I'm American, so I do use English as a primary language. Am I concerned about people who don't speak English? Certainly. Or having things available to them that is a privilege because they don't understand English? A little less so. Because it's the privilege of the people who don't know English to be given the privilege to enjoy things that another group made out of the goodness of their hearts. And money, of course. So, throwing shade at a developer that's not able to localize something and cater to a group is entitlement. I'm privileged, but I don't feel entitled. So if I didn't understand English, and I'm a big fan of something, somehow, you know, without understanding the language and the culture, I would be very grateful for what I do receive. But if I love the thing, then in order to be deserving of it, I would place effort to learning English or Japanese, but I didn't. So I can't frame someone who's giving me something for not having something in my preferred language. A great example would be this game series. I could sit here and say, man, they didn't hire English voice actors for this game. I speak English. But if you really love a series, entitlement is not the way to go. That's more like self-serving, in my opinion. That's what makes it convenient for you at the expense of hurting someone that you claim you love. Well, to be honest, I kind of get what Square Enix and XR does. It is valid, but the puzzling steps you have to go through sometimes are bedazzling. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know if you work in the industry, but to be able to say something like that is a place of ignorance, in my opinion. Somehow you knew their circumstances and you know how to appreciate their circumstances, but it doesn't strike me as you do. If you can say something that's simple, like so easily, that's a very bold statement. A lot of times geopolitics come into play when it comes to these types of things. And not being able to understand that does come from an ethnocentric perspective. It's ironic because a lot of times Americans are accused of that. But so much less these days. I'm really grateful that RGG studios actually prioritize Americans in their international release, so I feel very lucky. Do I deserve it? As someone who lives in a country that a lot of people agree are important? No. If it didn't ever come to the United States, I wouldn't have exposed to this game series. I can't love something that's not given an opportunity to love it. Yeah, for example, now I want to just buy Diablo 4 as a customer. I now have to fake ID rooms in another country with a VPN and dedicated momentum to change my, once again, buy actual money because of the politics. I know what you mean. And it's a self-centered, ethnocentric way of describing this side of the story. It makes sense. It is very inconvenient to you. I understand. Like, that's very acceptable. I would feel very inconvenient as well. You don't have to buy the game. You don't have to love the game. But you did choose to do that. And then you bedazzled yourself on the hoops that you had to go through to play the game that you choose to love. Unless I'm mistaken, somehow you must go through all the hoops to play Diablo and give Blizzard money that you claim they don't deserve. You feel sad for yourself? I don't think so. I think you should feel really proud for yourself. Like, that's impressive, being able to do that. They do deserve the money? Man. Fair enough. I don't think you should feel sad for yourself. I think you love the series so much that you went through hoops to do it. That's actually not a lot of people know how to do that stuff, to be honest. Like, they wouldn't go through the effort to trying to do it. So it does scream that you really like the game. Learning a different language to like a game is also kind of similar to the whole VPN and region locking and stuff. Like, someone could tell me, someone could accuse me, and I would have nothing to say about it, right? That I don't love this game. I don't love Like a Dragon game series enough to learn Japanese. And I don't, actually. Sort of. It's a little weird. I have a rebuttal to that. But I do feel really lucky that they chose the American English as the alternate. I mean, that's fair. I'm not entirely sure why pirating came into this talk, but I was merely talking about, like, the value of creativity. You're not a true fan unless you offer a blood sacrifice? Yeah. I feel really lucky, personally. But here's the thing about games that I are unable to play, that I love. It's just a missed opportunity. But man, do people go out of their way to stop it from happening in the first place. It's just a Russian thing about the stealing, since the law here are so... Yeah, without going into too much detail, China is a big part of my life, so there are lots of different things regarding, like, copyright and pirating and stuff that's not related to the United States. You feel like you should not have started this dialogue? What's wrong with it? I mean, we got like an hour plus to talk about things. It's very relevant to this too, because as a little bit of a trivia about RGG, for a while, for like 10 years plus, right? For 10 years plus, the Sega and the studio, the RGG group, didn't know if they were gonna make an international release or not about for this game. So we're at the end. Yakuza 6 is the last game that they're gonna not introduce English. Like, this is the last game that pretty sure. I think Judgment might also. I think the Judgment. This is excluding the Judgment series, but this is the last Like a Dragon game that isn't international. Basically, they encourage you to pirate things, but I never did, and that's interesting. Yeah. Huh. I don't know a lot of people that live in that region, so they encourage you. I read something like that, but from an outside political spin, like why that's encouraged, like the psychology behind how that behavior fits into the cultural philosophy of that region. I don't know enough though. It just comes up on my news feeds every once in a while when I'm looking at publisher and developer business events, like things that deal with publishers and developers. I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that deals with psychology that is real quick. But you can certainly share your point of view on it from your experience. Is it just Japanese developers? I'm actually kind of curious. So how big a percentage of the market have Russian localizations? I think you might have misunderstood me, so let me clarify. When I mean if it's just Japanese developers, I mean the frequency. Most of the games are just banned? Oh, okay. So when you say most of the games are just banned, I like to think that you can appreciate that that is not because it has anything to do with developers or the original developers or publishers, right? It actually is self-inflicted. That is not true, but I can understand why you might think that. Bans are interpersonal. It's between both. The answer is both. There's no way it's one-sided. That is naive. You can send me all the screenshots you want that says publisher denied availability of the game in your country, but to think that it is one-sided on that decision because you think that developers like their games to be not available to a bigger audience, that is incredibly naive and egotistical. And then you're gonna cite probably every other country that says, oh, it's the developer and the publisher. It's definitely a one-sided interaction. That is a really, really poor understanding of politics. I can't really say much more than that. That's, yeah. Yeah, I guess they just don't like money, I suppose. Well, not every developer, as you might guess. And also, you know, not every publisher, but earning money is nice. And it would definitely be on their list. But there's also reputation, legacy, materials, hubris. Hubris as in like pride. Liability. So in case they get blamed for something and whatnot. But man, if your app says someone is responsible for something and that's your only source and that's how you interpret what's happening, that's like going to the first person you trust and whatever they tell you is the truth. And somehow, when it comes to the interaction of millions of people between two different countries, or even more countries, somehow it's one-sided. I think that's pretty bold. I don't think you I mean, I'll take your word for it that you understand how countries, how developers, you understand how developers and companies work. That's not what you're telling? You get all the things that are happening? You get it? I suppose. The thing is, if I were to tell you, what you're saying doesn't tell me you get it. But I will still respect that you do get it, I suppose. I don't even get it, to be honest. And I spend most of my time reading about these things, and I'm not confident enough that I say I get it. So, because of my nature, in my opinion, how much time I spent, and the comments I can make, the comments you make, I wouldn't ever make, knowing what I know. And I still don't think I get it. So the idea that you can easily throw around these every statements and absolute statements and one-sided statements. I can only tell you that I can respect your opinions, but I don't think you get it. I do agree with your emotions though. Like, it sucks. Just the idea that politics get into enjoying accessibility to privileged stuff like video games and stuff, it really sucks. So in general, emotionally, I'm with you there. Yeah, just being in a place that you don't have accessibility to stuff, it sucks in general. Like, there's no doubt about it. I'm definitely with you there. I think the closest thing that I've had an experience like that before, maybe when I was a lot younger, was back in the day when Japanese games don't make it over to the stateside, but you always hear them about them in a loose way. This is before the internet though, so you can't even see them or watch people play them, right? This is well before then. So things like when I got my first console game, yeah, back in the day, like I'm playing Sonic the Hedgehog, right, on Genesis. Well, you don't get things on stateside once you become exposed to them a lot of times. Final Fantasy is a great example, actually. Interestingly enough, where I was my first RPG was Final Fantasy, and in the United States you have Final Fantasy 6, and that's it for a really long time. Final Fantasy 6, which is actually Final Fantasy 3 in the United States. And 1 and 2 you can barely get your hands on. So it's because of Nintendo consoles. So I could only get, like, I was on a Genesis. I mean, I was on Sega platform for a while. But yeah, then we had Final Fantasy 3, then it was Final Fantasy 7, right? Then Final Fantasy 8. So back when I was a child, yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, and the English was not so hot. But what I can say about that is it created a wonderful nostalgia. Yeah, no Mother games. No Mother games. Earthbound. Earthbound is a great example too. A lot of the Dragon Quest games. Rage of Bahamut. Or not Rage of Bahamut, just the Bahamut games. Bahamut Lagoon? Wait. A lot of the turn-based tactical games didn't come over. Like any of the Ogre, Tactics Ogre stuff. Especially Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is a big one. Not anymore, but I don't think it's wrong. You're fine. I mean, I'm being argumentative now, but no, I'm just, you know, we're exchanging ideas. You're entitled to your that's weird, but I don't have a better word for this. You're entitled to your, like, feelings. We're just I'm just telling you what my thoughts are about what you're saying. You don't have to feel wrong about sharing. That's kind of weird, in my opinion. That's kind of weird. Except for something which was not even called Mother, but Earthbound. Yeah, Earthbound. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't read that comment earlier when I was gonna go into Earthbound. Yeah. But nowadays, it's kind of nice, kind of not, I guess. We have more, right? So, I'm more on the air. I'm more on the side of you could either have nothing, which kind of fits into the whole being banned thing, or you can have something. But ultimately, as a gamer, we get to choose what we love, and we get to choose what we support. If we feel bad that an opportunity is missed, it's still a choice we make. But sometimes emotions can be very powerful that it feels like we don't have a choice. And yeah, you could say that developers and publishers, their goal is to make you want to care as much as possible, right? Because it is a business. You almost had a civil war here. I'm sorry to hear that. Wait, are you joking? If you truly get it, it's too complicated. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the attraction, right? Things are just really complicated, and it just sucks to not have. That's there's no way I would ever tell someone that they shouldn't be upset because they don't have something that other people have. That's just a negative feeling in general. It definitely doesn't change the reality that we choose what we love or want. So you could just... So it's as... You could choose not to like something. Yeah, language barriers are... Yeah. Language barrier could be a thing. Ironically, right? Or not ironically, but unironically, the language barrier is kind of the language in general, and localization is why we had this discussion in the first place. Only interesting I can think of in context of local is that this trick with using made-up language as a tool for narration, I like it. That's indie magic right there. Indie magic, the made-up language. You gotta... It removes certain things. It moves cultural bias, which is kind of interesting. But people still find cultural bias in it. The made-up language could sound like something they associate with. But my greatest example, I feel that I should mention is Magica. Magica's made-up language was fantastic. It was based on something though, but still, I enjoyed it. And I think I'll land and voiceover role in some indie game in the next month. Ooh, that's awesome. I hope you do. Good luck with that. Yeah, this is discussion hour. Because we really... I would love to do an English voiceover of a character at some point. That would be cool. For the villain? Oh, I see. Actually, and I always wanted to see if it's possible to do a narration role. Not necessarily a character. I don't think characters are alright. But maybe one day. With enough dedication and work. Obviously, I could just rehash what I said earlier. I don't care enough to commit to such a hopeful thinking. or wishful thinking. It will require a lot of work, of which I do not know how much work yet. I can't really appreciate what I'm saying. A villain. The 12 auditions, I see. Is that what you want to do professionally? In your life? Is that a professional career? You just have the voice, like a hobby. Fair enough. Yeah, for this, the only thing related to like voiceovers when it comes to like a hobby perspective and whatnot is, I forgot who mentioned this to me. Someone. I think it might have been Mazuku or someone that I know mentioned that there's a fan. Oh wait, it might be Josh actually. Mentioned that someone really likes this game and she ended up landing a role for either an upcoming Like a Dragon game or Like a Dragon game that already exists, but she ended up being asked to be a voiceover in one of the characters in this game series, which would be really cool if they had open call for this. Yeah, she was a really big fan, especially Kiryu. The only trivia the person mentioned to me secondhand is that she really likes Kiryu to the point she built her like naming after Kiryu, and then at some point apparently she was offered an opportunity to be a character in a Like a Dragon series. I don't know if it's already happened because I haven't played the most recent yet. But at some point, I'll figure out who the character is and hope to hear it. I just recently watched the casting announcement of Kiryu's voice, because the next game, Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is Like a Dragon 7, that I'm about to play, there is an English voice for everyone, and because it's the first international one, and Kiryu had a voice actor, but that voice actor apparently is not returning for Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth, and they announced who the English voice actor is at their RGG summit, which happened, I guess it's been 2 weeks ago now. They're getting big enough to have their own summits, which is great. Yep. One downside of what I'm doing right now is the in-game counter stops at 50. So I don't actually know. Oh wait, maybe it doesn't. Hold up. I don't know how far I am on this yet. I saw the pop-up for 50 a while ago, and unfortunately I can't use the timer on my my stream timer because I was playing Yakuza 5 earlier. So let's see here. There should be a number of clears somewhere. Subtract a few off of it, I guess. I think we're at 70. I feel like we've done this 70 times now. That'd be reasonable. Yeah, it's like 2.5 minutes each. No, it doesn't tell. It doesn't say how many times I've cleared it. So we don't know. We don't know. We just keep going until the 100 pops up. We also have to level. We haven't capped any of the characters yet either. We need to cap the stats on one character. Yes. Fog of War? Like not knowing something? No way to keep track of things? Yeah. Nope. No idea. I personally like, to me, when I need to do these things, right? These little things over and over again. From my life experience, I thrive more on not knowing what's happening, or like not knowing how many times I have to do something. So what happens is every time I'm in the moment, I'm always doing the thing, thinking it's the next one or the next one. Kind of like working out. So like if I tell myself I have to run 6 laps around a track, right? I would start counting up to 6. But instead, I usually say I need to run 1 lap. You know? I need to run 1 lap. I complete the 1 lap, say I can run 1 more lap. And then 1 more lap. And then 1 more lap. And sure enough, when 6 is over, it's like, oh, wait a minute. I thought I've only ran, and that felt like 5 or 7 or 8 or however, but you know. Command and Conquer. I'm surprised in today's age, man. It'd be tough to release another Command and Conquer game in different regions, if you know what I mean. Going back to our early discussion. Although Westwood Studios is more or less not even like most of their original devs are around anymore. Like, I mean, that studio's not around anymore, of course, but I think it's called Westwood Studios. Pretty sure. I played the original, the first 2 Red Alert games. I played a little bit of Tiberian Sun, but only a little bit. That's when I started fading out of the scene. Westwood, yeah. And then they remastered that Command and Conquer 1, like Red Alert 1. Oh, I did play Red Alert 3. That's Yuri's Revenge, right? Yuri's Wrath? It was either Yuri's Wrath or Revenge. That was the subtitle for Red Alert 3. Yeah. Old school. Also, are you gonna use English voiceovers or stick to Japanese? I'm doing both. There's no or. It's and. So I'm looking forward to Yakuza 6 or Yakuza Like a Dragon. We're gonna play it in English first. And the greatest part about how they timed this stuff is that it's a new cast of characters. It's a new cast of characters. So we can hear all their American voices, all their American English voices, and then not that they're American. They might not be American. They could be other region people who speak American English, but their accents was strikingly American for the most part. So we're gonna hear it, all the new cast, including some old returning ones, because I'm aware because of the cast list. And then we'll play it through Japanese, and then we'll play it through American again. Oh, actually, we'll play it twice. The way Yakuza Like a Dragon works is, it's really just one playthrough, but we're gonna do two. Just because we can. The way we have it structured already. So the MSQ run only for the first one is gonna be in English. Or actually, we're doing it a little different. I'll probably explain more about that in when we start Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon takes the modern standard, so you no longer have to do like 2 playthroughs or 3 playthroughs for completion. So what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna play through with English and then do like the victory lap in Japanese. And then we'll flip it for the next game or something like that. I usually consume things in both languages. If they're offered, I would love to hear and appreciate both voice actors. Like both cast of voice acting. And yes, they're very different. So like, I talked about this a couple of times when it comes to how voice acting works, right? And we're not talking about like movies and stuff. Some people have problems with like dubbing and whatnot, like how the animations don't meet the lip action. That can be very jarring, for sure, visually and whatnot. But in this game series, the flexibility of the Dragon engine that they developed accommodates a lot for reanimating a lot of the characters. So now their performances typically match both the cast's performances, and it makes for 2 very different feel, and I like that. I like experiencing a game multiple times with a different feel. So if like Kiryu is like this butch sounding guy, alright. If Kiryu turns out to be like a very less deep voice person than the Japanese, or like Ichiban has 2 different tones, it's 2 different sets of experience for the game. And I really like that. I don't really get attached to specifically the emotional bias of first exposure. So a lot of times I watch things twice if they're multinational. You can't even imagine any of the Yakuza games dubbers like in Russian, for example. That would be really cool. Like as so that's what I mean by what you just said. Like, to me, it's already hard enough for me to imagine what the English would sound, because I've been reading all these subtitles and narrating and thinking about it, but they're really good with their like localization of American English idioms, but the delivery is gonna be really different. Like, it's incredibly different. Like, Kiryu is a different person practically, and I want to see that. I can't even imagine what he is like as an American English speaker, or Ichiban. Well, the thing is, the nice thing about the psychology involved in timing in this game is they're using a whole new cast to introduce Like a Dragon to the international group. So it alleviates people who like to have it in English or like to have it in Japanese. Like, the series is a reboot, so to speak, because the next game, the first game that has both tracks, features center an entirely different cast. So they kind of circumvented that bias that could happen, which is really hard for emotional people, incredibly emotional people, to get over. So, but for me, I absolutely love when characters are reimagined, because voice actors are amazing and they are able to interpret characters differently. So it's completely different, and that's the best part about it. Completely different is like the worst part about most people who have emotional baggage that are seemingly attached to you know, they experience things emotionally, not just intellectually. So, by the way, some people from Westway Electronic Arts have gathered and made a new studio. They're called Tempest Rising. Oh, okay. There was another group that made Grey Goo that had some of those people involved. Like some of the old school RTS groups. The group that made Grey Goo was have some of the older peeps way back in the CNC days. Oh, what the dubbers would do to a person regarding their story, like what they're... Yeah. Well, not what they do to their decisions, but how they imbue feeling to it. Like... I believe that the script writers and the people who write Like a Dragon, I can't say this for other games because I don't know. I don't have enough experience to know. But yes, the feelings and emotions. And I actually think that Like a Dragon RGG is so good now at writing American idioms into their subs, like the subtitles. I don't know enough Japanese, right? But when I hear the Japanese delivery, like the emotions that like the voice actors are giving, and I'm reading the English because I have to read the English for the older games because they're not all voiced over. But imagining the characters that I'm used to hearing, their emotions are quite different from the English I'm reading. So to me, I actually think that RGG studios have writers that are really good at understanding the English perspective, where they can gather the idea across the performance, like what they're trying to portray. But ultimately, the English is really different feel. So to me, it shows that the group that they have will be able to provide a different experience for English than they do for Japanese. And what I mean by that is it's not a good or a bad thing. It's going to be probably jarring for some people, but the idea is you get to choose. You can choose whatever you want, right? Like, if you don't like English, don't listen to the English. But I think this group, this studio, has great writers. And to me, I'm going to play this game. I'm mandatorily going to play this game twice, because there's no way they're not going to be different. Like, it's hard for me to ever comprehend that if you played the game on English, you're going to feel the same way when you play it on Japanese. Like, I think this studio will intentionally allow flexibility to capture the right feel for English and Japanese, which is why I really like this studio when it comes to writing, because it's the centerpiece of their game. The dialogue is pretty much everything, in my opinion. Like, it's like 80 to 90% of the game's content. Like, the most costly, time-consuming part, arguably, would be how much dialogue and writing they have to do for these games. And it would be a disservice to only listen to the game in Japanese and only listen to the game in English. I still do it though. I like for other games. For other games I still do it, but they kinda, that's where it kinda falls apart sometimes. So what, like for example, one big one. There's a Japanese tendency, right, to use names over and over again to express emotions. So like Kiryu-san. 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 So they do that a lot in Japanese voiceovers. Like they use the name and change the tone to elicit emotions. But in English, you don't do that. You use pronouns. You describe it. So I am waiting to see how they do that in English. Yeah. So for me, I'm only speaking English because I'm an English speaker, right? And an American English speaker as well. So I'm really excited to see if they follow through and just be like, no, they're not going to do that. And instead use descriptors. In English, usually most of those type of things use descriptors. So you would say something like, oh, yikes, oof, or like, man, or sorry, or huh, like lots of interjections, but you don't use their names, which is what Japanese does a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the difference is. Yeah, the voiceover directors of the respective language can have some differences. Yeah, that then make the game feel different, yeah. There's some words and sentences of some dialogues that you can't just go and one by one, yeah. You can't do verbatim translations. And I think this game, this studio is not going to do that. They're not going to try to do the one-for-one verbatim thing, which anime dubs do a lot. And that's, in my opinion, is one of the deeper reasons why I agree with most people. The dubs are kind of off. It's largely because they're trying to do one-to-one as opposed to, you know, making it English, right? Making it doo-doo, yeah. So, things fall weirdly because English is a descriptor language, and a lot of Asian languages tonal language. They rely a lot on tonal tendencies. They are, and they try to do one and binary. Yeah, it comes off really weird. Like the biggest elephant in the room is the name thing. The name thing is so often weird. Saying the name to emphasize emotion is so, like, even when you're reading and you're narrating, you can't help but notice it. It's like Haruka-san is doing well. Haruka-san said, or Haruka-chan told Kiryu-san, Haruka-chan is doing well. Like, that type of thing. Pronouns. English uses pronouns. They don't typically use that many names over and over again. It's always inferred. So like, she did well here because she told him, like, you know, so there's a lot of that going on. And when you're reading it, it's fine, but when you hear it, it's not so fine. I don't think one time ever I've ever enunciated someone's name in a conversation, like between two American English speakers, where you would say the person's name to them as an expression of emotion. So like, Eric, you know, like, no, it's just like, oh, that's unfortunate. You describe it because English is a descriptor language. So you describe how you feel, or you describe how you feel for the person, as opposed to just say the person's name, but emote the name. And it's hard because when you're reading the subtitles in this game, like, not really the subtitles, but the dialogue, you as a person who's narrating and you're making an attempt to portray the emotion, you're not quite sure what the emotion is sometimes. Really, Cyrillic languages do not use pronunciation at all. Like, all the objects have their inherent pronunciation. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know enough about Cyrillic languages. I see. Germanic languages tend to be, which is what English is, a Germanic language, they tend to be quite less tonal. Although, you know, because of how vastly English have been used, it has been gaining a lot of tonal languages, tonal things. But it's not formally taught. Like, they don't formally taught tonal things for English. The closest you get is emphasis, right? Emphasis, syllable emphasis. But now, so many people have used English that it has taken on a lot of the tonal qualities of Asian languages, of which Mandarin is the closest thing that I'm familiar with, where while Mandarin uses tonal language tones to literally say different words, like, you know, like different meanings and stuff, in English it's a softer reason. It's like the pronunciation is giving emotion now, but it doesn't create a new meaning literally. So a good example is, I always use like casual speak a lot. Like, for example, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. So nowadays, that type of thing, it's not formally taught, but English has taken on another layer of complexity when it comes to conversing with people. So when we're talking about voiceovers in games, that has to carry over for English listeners to find natural. Like, it's not, you know, the dub thing, right? The dub thing. It sounds like they're just reading off a script. Like, hey, I dislike you a lot. Ha ha ha. Like, oh, is this what you mean? Like, there's no tonal quality to it at all. And English now has a lot of tonal quality. So you get that. It just feels like they're just reading off the screen or something. And some of that is true, but I don't think so. Not as much. It's just that the people who are writing the scripts are trying to get a feeling like the Japanese feeling, right? But it doesn't translate to English. Like, that's not how an English person would sound if they want to be really excited, because it would come off awkward. My favorite examples are when things are really, really serious. You know what I mean? Like in Japanese, it's like Kiryu just has to talk, and it's really serious. But in English, it's not trying to be like, oh my gosh, this is so incredibly important. That makes it really cheesy. It makes it sound like they're trying way too hard, right? English has to use the language to depict how important it is. It's not just exaggerating and imitating how Japanese tonal qualities work. So like when someone's super excited, this is where the kid thing, dude. The kids, like the excited kids thing, like being cute. Oh. If there's one thing that is consistent that turns off people who hear English translations of Japanese stuff, like voiceovers of Japanese stuff, is excitement. Because it comes off super cheesy, like super overacting. You know how when you have a hostess like, you know, kawaii and sugoi, and you know, you have that you have that thing, but then English voice actor would be instructed to do the same thing. And I don't think it's necessarily anyone to blame, it's just a loss in translation. But then the voice actor would try to do it and say, can it be more perkier? It's like, but when an English speaker hears that perkiness with English words, it's not the same anymore. It's overacting. Like, it's cringy. So when someone's really excited, it's a combination of using words to describe things to show the excitement, not just being high pitched and uppity. It feels incredibly cringe when you're trying to imitate it with English. We're so glad to see you here. Please be comfortable. That is so cringe. Yeah. Dude, that's a good one. Or like the politeness, like the decorum of Japanese, like, it is a privilege. Thank you for your time. I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk. Have a nice day. Like, alright. Okay. That definitely works with the meaning that the Japanese people are trying to promote. But in English, it's like, whoa. That's a little hard. It's going a little hard. Very, very heavy-handed. Super heavy-handed. And then it becomes cringy. And then the internal stare. Yeah, the internal stare. Whew. So, I kid you not, I'm trying really hard. I was debating about starting Yakuza Like a Dragon today instead of skipping over, like putting this on the back burner, but I know that I need to do this at some point. I'm just excited to see what they do. I haven't played a game in this manner in which the whole point, like the voice acting is so important to these games. Now they're doing something that they've never done in over 10 years. I think this is like 12 years. Where they just decide, you know what? We're gonna have 2 different languages. And it's so... It sounds so ambitious. And I don't know what people's reception is about it yet, because I don't want to read about it too much. But once I go through and hear Yakuza Like a Dragon, then I'll like start digging and seeing what the overall sentiments are. The reason why this is so important to me is some of my guilty pleasures in my legacy. What defined me in cinema is organized crime, like in like cinematic organized crime. Just like that topic is really like a nostalgia and a legacy point for me. And one of the big misnomers, I feel like conceptual like understanding kind of thing, is that Yakuza, there's nothing like Yakuza when it comes to like the tone of organized crime. It's like, if you're a buff, you know that Hong Kong cinema is incredibly, it's like the GOAT is one of the standards too. And we also have a Western version. You just have to say Martin Scorsese. He's still doing it now. So there are 3 different ways of interpreting organized crime's feel, right? And my thinking is, Like a Dragon, Yakuza Like a Dragon, they might go closer to like Martin Scorsese stuff, like Italian mafia stuff, right? Like Americano to Western Europe, organized crime feel, noirs, like drawing inspiration, like the voice actors would have inspirations from film noirs, detective stories, Hell's Kitchen kind of thing, Bronx, that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what type of approach that they're going to do. And I would love, which there was another game series that had a chance, and Sleeping Dogs, which did go by an actual different name. I think it went by Wanted, and then it was purchased and then repackaged. But I would love to see a Hong Kong cinema version too. Hong Kong cinema has the same feel, like a overlapping feel, but the execution is different. So it would be cool to see all of that. And this game series is multinational. Like not just the leap into United States, but it dipped in like Mandarin, Korean. I don't think anyone actually spoke Tagalog or any of the other variants. They were just subtitles. Yeah, and oh yeah, that's right. I'm a lot more limited, but you know, the closest thing that I have of Russian, like that type of feel, is probably things that deal with like spies, right? The KGB and the old Americana 70s kind of thing, or the Cold War stuff. That would be the closest thing that I can think of when it comes to vocal performances to this type of thing, right? Because it's intrigue. Like people are really, you know, you have a room, a lot of people sit around and they're all playing the mind games, right? And then everyone's like trying to guess who's betraying who's going behind each other's backs, and it's like it keeps stacking and getting more complicated. So that stuff I really like, and I've been trying to be around the globe about this. But the Russians, probably a lot less. It's more like Secret Police, or the Cold War tends to be the thing that happens that I've been exposed to more. And we're not talking about real stuff. We're not talking about like historical accuracy, just performance in an entertainment manner. So in case someone thinks like I know something historically, I don't. I don't know what's accurate and what isn't, because I don't live in the country and all that stuff. But what entertainment depicts. Even I can't fake a Russian accent even though I try. I don't have great examples of what a Russian... I'm terrible at that stuff in general, like picking up that stuff. I can grossly know what the languages that I know sound like. This game though, RGG actually, this is the only time I've ever had a long exposure to people who speak Japanese with different accents. Like, yeah, you know, often it's like Japanese people speaking English poorly or acting out the phonetics of it. But this game did the other way, where when the subtitles, you know, when you have the subtitles, you see the subtitles in quotes and all that stuff, but you can hear some of the accents. Like, they either hired an actor to speak with an accent in Japanese, or had an actual actor with that accent who speaks Japanese as a secondary language to get the accent. And some of them are... I really love it. Like, I could definitely pick out the Chinese person speaking Japanese. If they, like, if that voice actor pretended to be a Chinese person speaking Japanese, it's on point. Because you could definitely hear when the accents, because I hear my parents all the time, right? So that's my source of, like, normalizing the sounds. And when they were pronouncing Japanese words, it was really clear that they were imitating or actually a Chinese person speaking Japanese. So I really appreciate that. That was really freaking awesome. Because the triad was in this game, so there are actually Chinese people speaking Japanese. And then they did it for Korean too. The only reason I'm not as comfortable for Korean is my only exposure tends to be like Korean entertainment. And they don't usually do that. They don't do that too often. Or they have other Asian subcultures speaking Korean with a different accent, so it's difficult for me to pick up. But the Chinese one was right. For games like these series, I assume, like even The Witcher, I consider myself playing the game twice, or just because of voice act. Yeah, I'm gonna be, and I don't like picking favorites. It just feels really different. But whoever the people who cast the English version of the CD Projekt Red, the English cast is amazing. I only listened to, I think I played like half of Witcher 3 in a different VO. Polish sounds weird. I mean, what I mean by Polish sounds weird is I'm not used to listening to... Do you call it Polish? Wait. Okay, I didn't know if Polish people... I didn't know if it went by a different name. You can't be too careful, right? Sometimes it's kind of weird, like Chinese, you know, Mandarin, right? We still haven't done 100, by the way. It still haven't been 100 battles yet. This is such a good opportunity to talk about multilingual games. Which was written and then translate. Yeah. So, you know what I would love to hear? Just from someone. I actually do know a Polish person, but that person, we haven't ever talked about this game series because that person hasn't played it. They read the book series, but that doesn't play into this. I wanted to know if they felt like it was an English game dubbed in Polish. You know what I mean? Like the same way that a Japanese game is dubbed in English, because that happens a lot more. It requires less resources for a studio to do that. I actually do know. Oh, hey, what did they think? What was your feel with that? Like, what did those people think about it? Because I reckon Polish isn't close enough to English that it would be very great translating one-to-one. Like I imagine it's different enough. because I wouldn't be able to know. All I can do is read the subtitles because I have no idea. I don't listen to Polish enough to even see like a great example is I played another long game. It's called Library of Ruina, and it has a really big cult following, and it's in Korean. So all the voice acting is in Korean, and it's a lot of voice acting, and incredibly lots of voice acting. And a lot of times people would tell me things like, oh, have you noticed the tone change and stuff. It's like I'm having trouble even trying to get used to Korean in the game. So it's hard to pick those up without experience. But in Japanese, I can pick up quite a bit in the performance now because I've spent a lot of time listening to Japanese without without the need to understand the words specifically, just how the accent works and the sounds work. Maybe one day I'll learn Japanese properly so I can understand it intellectually. But intuitively, I can tell when, like for example, in this game, there's an emphasis on regional accents of Japanese. And you can definitely tell the difference between a Kansai accent and a Tokyo accent. I only heard a little bit of the like deep Kyushu stuff. Apparently that's discernible, but after listening to Japanese for long enough, you can definitely tell there are regional accents. And that's kind of the idea about the subtleties in voice acting performances. My experience with them was that since they had the original writer work with the game devs, they decided to make a script in English in the first place, so they made the script in English, but the original is in Polish nonetheless. Oh, okay. So it's a bit of a mixture. But all three of them told me that the lore and the national folk pride goes into the game, no matter the length. Oh, okay. I see. So they're more progressive in mixing the two. I don't know if either or. It doesn't matter. Like for me, I like that, and I also like the other thing. You know what I mean? Like it's irrelevant, but that's different, and I like that. How they decided from the get-go to do the blending as and in taking pride in the blending as a reflection of their product and their culture, which is great. It's closer. I don't want to say it's less interesting, but it's more normal. It's normalized in the United States to have that perspective. So it's a very comforting. It's a very I don't want to say it's less interesting, but it's more normal to have that perspective with creative freedom, being someone who's raised in the United States, to have like, well, you know, our product should reflect a presentation and representation of the culture that the product is made by. So the people who make it, it's their reflective culture, as opposed to, hey, you know, RGG sits around, right? They're like, guys, we need to hire. We need to think about how we can get an American feel and a Japanese feel. So, you know what I mean? Like they're juggling two different things as opposed to making a Japanese-American game. Which, the reason why I say that is because I'm kind of a person that can say that it is very obvious when something is a Chinese-American thing, like a Chinese-American product, versus an American product, and a Chinese product. And I can tell you, living as a blend of both means you kind of don't like fully empathize with either or. So in terms of game design, that comes through quite a bit. If it becomes very apparent when someone says, hey, this is a Japanese American production or a Japanese production with an intention to having an exclusive American group as well. And my favorite thing about this leads into a digression on anime. So nowadays, anime, like the bigger, let's just say like the bigger production ones, they do it differently. They simul dub things. And since both casts are working side by side, it tends to offer two distinct feels as opposed to having that thing where, oh, we already made the anime, here's all the Japanese, and now the dubbers come in and try to capture that same feeling but in a different language. So I know it's still kind of unfair since it's not other languages, but English tends to be the secondary, right? Because of its universal, it's more used internationally. So in Japan nowadays, some of the bigger productions, like the anime, the bigger publishers, when they release things, they do international releases. And when they do international releases, they tend to have both the cast, the English cast, and the Japanese cast simultaneously doing the voiceovers at the same time, side by side. And those specific shows feel very different, and I typically watch them twice. But they're rarer because it costs more, in my opinion. Like, to orchestrate that and schedule that, it's a lot more taxing on production. So typically it's more like, here's the product, here's the vision. Afterwards, if it's very popular, right? If it's popular enough, then it gets a localization. Or what I mean is a dub over, right? It has to be financially safe enough to dub over as opposed to doing it simultaneously. So whenever I see a show that says we're internationally releasing this, it means they believe in it. You know what I mean? Like, they believe in the product. And I'm like, I should support this because it's great. Like, when they say, yeah, we're launching with both the dub and the Japanese audio, like dual audio from start, it's a vote of confidence. Like, they are willing to take the risk. Like, yeah, we're not gonna even wait till it's like popular in Japanese. We think whatever we wrote caters to more than one audience, and that's pretty impressive. Oh yes, that's who will fill the space of Hayao Miyazaki for the greatest anime movie of all time when he passed away. Then who will fill the space of Miyazaki? His final movie is coming out, and Miyazaki requested that there would be no advertisement for that movie. But Miyazaki's final film is coming out soon, and you might not know about it because the only people who covered the potential release soon is anyone who's interviewed with the studio or anything, because he doesn't want it to be advertised, or there was a sentiment that he doesn't want it to be like a, you know, Miyazaki is easily one of the most humble, influential persons in the industry, and it's his last movie, but they don't want it, you know. It is his last movie, so I'm looking forward to seeing it soon, maybe, somewhere. But not a single studio even can dare to dub his. That's true. No, yeah, people have not dubbed per se in the same way. Yeah. I don't know how many anime series nowadays, but a great example I think we can stick with the Witcher thing again about dub overs and simultaneous production. I think one of the bigger examples is Edge Runner. Edge Runner is a great example of like we're making a multinational production from the start, and that's just it. Like no like this is just anime. No, this is just gonna be in Japanese. No, that this is not gonna be a Polish production. It's everything. And Edge Runners is one of the more recent ones that I can name that is like one of the signs of the future, like another approach to that type of entertainment that's possible. Lots of other people would say like they would focus on what Edge Runner stands for. You know, it's Cyberpunk 2077's extension, it's CDPR production, it's with Netflix. It sold well, it helped Cyberpunk 2077's post-launch period. Yeah, I get all that. But it stands so much more, in my opinion, significantly, and I'm a little bit biased, towards the idea that Cyberpunk Edge Runner stands as a wonderful example of multinational production. Like, it's incredible. Just thinking about being able to say that. And then we think about Cowboy Bebop. So that's kind of it's so rare. But I actually think I'm quite a bit biased obviously right now, but I think RGG has got it too. I'm looking forward to it. What'd you call it? Like a Dragon 8. Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth is gonna have Hawaii in it. So I'm like super excited. I'm just so excited to see how they mirror a Japanese character being culture shocked in Hawaii, and then having an English voice actor try to convey that same culture shock. Like even the trailer that dropped where Ichiban, sorry if no one have seen the trailer, but even when Ichiban shows up butt naked on the shores of a Hawaiian island, and he's like doing the whole like Japanese like, oh my gosh, and you know, I don't know how I end up here. It just isn't going to be similar in English. So I'm so curious how the English voice actor is gonna do that scene, because it's a East meets West scene, but you have to do it in English too. So what do you do? I personally don't really know, and I'm excited because I don't know what they're going to do. It's gonna be a normalization of something I'm not used to. You know how the Russian dub flipped The Witcher 3? That's so bad. The main actor decided that he has a thing and a feeling of his own and flipped off the audio director, and the game is so different in Russia. Oh, Carol is so different, the game tone is so different. Oh. Huh. Huh. I had no idea. No, I didn't know. The only the only production is a bit of the Polish production. Huh. So do you play Witcher 3 in English? Basically, he sounds like a hero is sexy Rambo guy. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I wonder what Witcher 3 sounds like in Japanese. Now, Wait, is there a Japanese version of Witcher 3? I might actually play Witcher 3 in Japanese before the Witcher 1 remake in the future, if there is a Japanese version of it. Or even a Mandarin version for that matter. Like, okay, I know we got to make this relevant to Like a Dragon, right? While I'm doing this, all I can say is I would not be mad at all if Geralt sounded like Akiyama. Just sorry, I'm just throwing it out there. If Geralt sounded like Akiyama, that's done. No contest. That's the persona that I got from the English version. You know, like if I were being comforting, if I was relying on something I know, he would more or less be like Akiyama. Like that's the personality that you're saying. A little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of troublesome, Mendosai, right? Like the like I can't believe I'm getting into this trouble again. That's Akiyama. I would dig it. I would dig it. But they could go a whole different route. Like so much fun talking about this stuff. I still haven't finished the 100 battles yet. Wait, hold up. Let me check if I actually finished the one. Sometimes I lose track when I'm in a discussion on these grind things. I lose track when nope. Not 100 yet. Still going. Now I wonder if Capcom invited the same voice actor for dubs in Monster Hunter versus Witcher. Oh, I did see that one. The answer is complicated, I think. I wondered that too in the Witcher collab back in Monster Hunter World, right? The Monster Hunter World collab. I want to say yes, but oh no. That's the you're doing exactly what I like to do during these things. It's also like the same time. The last time we did this type of segment was when I had to do the hostess maker in Yakuza 4. It just bootstrapping. You're like I'm just running the ropes, so there's nothing really to distract from. I just want to let it go while I'm talking about it. Yeah, I remember that the Witcher, the Monster Hunter World Witcher collab, and they had the Leshen, right? The Leshen monster added. Yeah, you have to play through Monster Hunter World. Oof. That's a several 100-hour experience at the minimum. I guess now you're on the fast track though. If you have Iceborne. Oh yeah, Worm. Alright, you're in good company though. That's the fast track right there. Yeah, I know that Worm shared that he has a passion for Monster Hunter. I was only like 200 to 300 in. It is one that I do have to. I haven't completed the achievements. I was on my way to doing it. They're all like sitting at like 98 and 96%. Like, you know how you have to do certain things a certain amount of times or get certain things. They're all sitting very close, but kind of fell off because of something that was outside the game that happened at the time. Tomorrow is the day we start the getting acclimated to English in a Like a Dragon game. I can't even process that right now. Right now, if I total all the hours, it's been 850 hours of Like a Dragon. 850 hours. And now I'm so excited. You're looking forward to him being I mean, gatekeeping do be going burr after like 400 or 500 hours of Monster Hunter though. What I mean is like, dude, why you gotta go and do that? Just listen, you have so many wasted movements. Why do you move so much? You know? That kind of thing. Getting whacked all the time. It's not that bad, but you know. I think it's pretty funny. He's only angry at you because he wants you to improve, right? That's what you tell yourself anyways, you know what I mean? He only wants you to do better. He only wants the best for you. That kind of starts sounding like going to school and mentorship and teachers and whatnot. Deep cuts, very deep cuts. Yeah, I'm sure Worm is a very understanding about that stuff. I got to know him pretty. I can infer quite a lot about his personality over the many conversations that we've had. We're close, right? I feel like we're close. How long have I mean, the last time I mentioned it, it was about an hour ago. I think we're close. Gotta be close. Oh, I know a way to know how much I've done this. So we get 110,000 yen every match, right? So let me look at my total right now. Where's my yen total? Hold up, let's back out for a moment. I should be around wait, why can't I find? Okay, we're at almost 9 million yen. We started around 2.3 and we needed to do 60. So that's about 6.6. We're really close. We're really close. It's we're like within 10 away from, we're within 10 away from 100. 9 million yen, I'm moving to Tokyo. That, you could live a couple of years on 9 million yen, that's for sure. I had friends who really confused playing through some other games with me because I actively avoided making any comments on what they did or didn't. But that would be the opposite? Oof. So what you're saying is, just gonna mope in the corner? Come on, man. He suggested you to me? Oh, okay. I see. Well, we talk about this thing we talk about these things a lot. And that's only the only reason. That's the only reason I stream. I mean, like, if you are too afraid of stuff to express, I hope I try to catch it long enough, right? Quick enough to make it feel like I'm not out to prove anything. There's really, it's more like the discussion stuff. right? So there's wrong and rights. I'm not a guy who deals in wrong and rights rarely ever. So when it ever feels that way, then I have to understand I'm not communicating properly. So definitely emotionally we'll be on track. Generally, whenever everybody feels safe emotionally, the context stuff, you can shoot whatever, you know? As long as we don't get in trouble with Twitch or something like that. Yesterday, there was a mini game in this game that I'm not so sure. The live chat thing, the first model, I'm not so sure about yesterday's thing. Wait, hold up. Someone's status capped. Yeah, Kiryu status capped. Let me see if I got that achievement. Hold up. I'm supposed to max out one of the leaders. Max out a Kiryu clan leader stats. What the heck? Kiryu's maxed. Why? Yeah. Kiryu's maxed. I wonder why this doesn't trigger. Hold up for a sec. Maybe if I save it and reload? Huh. The achievement doesn't trigger. The reason why I'm concerned about that is the only reason I'm concerned about that is because I don't know if it's tracking properly. Because he's clearly maxed. Maybe they mean also XP? That would kind of be weird. What if I just do this? Oh. Well, I can't really do that, huh? I don't have XP. Okay, we're just gonna assume it's gonna trigger on its own. Or maybe they mean level 100? Do they mean like max level? That's bad because... oh no, that's not bad. We can use XP to level them to 100, so it's fine. Like later, but it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, no trouble with Twitch, more or less. I wonder why Worm just acknowledged that by the time he will be trying to help me out with Monster Hunter, I'll be condemned to the lowest of the... It's a mind game. That's what he's trying to play. You know? No pressure. No pressure at all, right? We've got to be close. This is the one, guys. This is the one. The no pressure statement is always the worst before pressure is to the max. Yeah, I'm using it ironically. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm well aware I'm using it ironically. I'm starting to get a little worried I'm slightly worried that sometimes these Steam achievements, they don't sync up. So occasionally you have to like close out the game and reload the game. So I'm not trying to overextend too much. It's always one of the things is after a while you have to I'm just so used to this cutscene. Yeah, so once we get close enough, I will try to restart the game. Sometimes you can't take for granted that achievements are synced appropriately. There were times where I've done things where it was like 3 or 4 hours in, right? And I found out that it doesn't count the way I've done it. so learning from a lot of completionists like times back in the day, you kind of start getting used to the tricks and stuff that you want to keep track of just in case things go south. And one of them tends to be when the game's in-game counter is very different from the platform's counter. So Steam counter and the in-game counter can be different if they have 2 different counter requirements, and that can happen sometimes. So usually getting the cloud save $16.63 is the count of your stream. Oh yeah, no, well, no, it's just the day I started streaming. It's been 1,663 days since I started streaming. I use it as a way to identify the time points. It's for keeping track of it's for differentiating all the cutting that I do. So I know when certain things expire and stuff. And I just kept counting up. I could start the counter over again if I want. It's easy enough to just change the last digit and then change every so often change 2 digits. It's for cataloging and filing purposes. It's what carries over from my data science days. Science in general. Science in general, keeping numbers is a great way to file stuff so you don't misorganize them, I guess, even for electronic files. Even digital files need to be organized, you know? Comes with data science quite a bit. Or if you're into any like big data. It's this one. I'm feeling it. This is victory number 100. Should make a game out of this in the future. If a task like this still shows up, should make a game out of this. Is take a wager. I'm feeling this one. This one seems reasonable. Let me see it. There's that pop up. I made my amends with a data on my drives the other day, reorganized stuff, and oh, okay. Yeah, really cleansed, I tell you. My like biannual ritual is to reformat and get that fresh spanking installation of Windows. Take all the static back up all the static info, the static data that is not like always dynamically occupied, and then just reformat. Feels like new. And that's sweet. Sweet, feels like new, clean. It wasn't the last one. It might be this one. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah. No. I can definitely understand. My system is the system that I've been doing, like when I say that, it's a triple redundant system that I use to upkeep every single day. And I've been doing it for the last 7 years. so I wouldn't say like it's your run-of-the-mill like just look at your files and just clean it up. No, it's an everyday thing. You do a little bit at a time every day. So I'm a person of habit. So like whenever someone says, "Oh, I'm gonna clean up my room now," you know, like clean up my room every like 4 months. It's like I clean up my room every day. I just do it a little bit every single day, so I don't ever sit there and have the task build up. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna train hard and you know, run that one race and then just slob out. No, I just run every single day. Run a little every single day. That's how you upkeep. How could you not clean the room any single day, dude? I know, right? No, that's being a little insensitive, but for people my age, I guess, when I have a conversation like that, if that ever comes up, is typically they're working 2 jobs, or their job goes 13 hours, and then you drop a day, right? Working can really push even the most diligent people to their edge. Well, you can leave a room a bit untidy for 2 or 3 days, okay? But you have to do it. It's in your blood. If that sentiment was, man, I have to tell you, I've been in some rooms in my life, right? I've been in some rooms in my life, guys. Rooms that there's a chance you feel like your lungs been polluted by something. Son, what do you think you're implying? That emote's actually really cute though. Let me take a look at the bigger version. Hold up. Aww, it's a chill cat. And the worst part is that almost all those rooms belong to my girl. Oof. Yeah, it can be rough. And I take this with a grain of salt. The reason, if you're wondering, like, I'm not upset about the rooms that I'm mentioning, and I'm not necessarily saying them in a jokingly way. When I walk into a room and maybe like it says a lot about the person, and often when you have a room that has an incredible indicator of a lack of healthy habits, they tend to mean that the person might be struggling with a lot of things too. So seeing someone's room can really help position yourself and understand how you can communicate with the person, right? So if the room is completely bare and have nothing on the walls, then it tells a lot about where you can start, where you can like communicate with the person and like really fill them out. So I've been in rooms that when you step in, that unkept, like kind of unfortunate, like dirty feeling, those people weren't doing very well. Like it was in a situation when, you know, you're helping someone and you have to like get them home, right? And then you get introduced into that situation and you start to think about, it's pretty clear that this person requires a lot of help. There's help, by the way, for the first girl to make good things with her father, and I never saw the room in that bad condition. Ah, yeah. And it's not gonna, a room isn't gonna tell you exactly. We're not talking about like Sherlock Holmes thing where like, oh yeah, I can predict all your contextual like specifics. It's more about understanding the psychology of the person, like where the person is emotionally and habitually. So when you see an unkept room, often you want to start slow on developing habits, because one of the first habits tend to be keeping your living space functional. And if the living space is not functional beyond repair, it's best to not try, like it's a good indicator to tell you like, don't go hard on like something else, because this person is clearly juggling a lot, right? She or he, or you know, whoever they are, is juggling a lot, that even an unkept room that would upset a lot of people, you know, right? They would upset themselves. Where you call home, where you stay comforting, and what another person sees in that is chaos and unwelcoming things, you know that it's probably pretty bad for them right now. If they are okay, right? They are rationalizing it's okay for their place that they spend so much of their time to relax being so unwelcoming. So then you start thinking about things about how to like how's this person doing? And that's usually the situation I find myself in when I think about people's rooms. Yeah, she was obviously rebelling against her parents, so I helped her figure out. Oh, that's great. That sounds like a wholesome, very much like a dragon situation. And then they try to tend to their personal small zoos with wild animals, and I had to be oof. Oh, are you not a wild animal kind of person? A girl with an unkept room? Not gonna believe it. Oh, okay. This one's it, guys. This one's it. Number 100. I'm telling you. Number 100, right here. Honestly, I'm not even sure if the game's keeping track anymore. Okay, we're at... Okay, let me do the math again. We had 2.3 million, right? If I did 60 at 110 million each, that's 6.6. I'm already past the threshold. Had a flock of peacocks. Whoa, that's exotic. Hold up. All right, we're gonna test something out. So we're gonna save this. We're gonna close this game out. Right? We're gonna reboot the game. Oh, careful. Earphone, for headphone users. The logo is not normalized audio, so the Sega sound is gonna be loud. Just a heads up. Also the flashbang, but that's the point. Okay. It's you know, the modern thing where the logo doesn't take into your audio settings yet until after the logo splash, so it's like incredibly loud. There are a few titles that have accounted for that, and I really appreciate that. I don't know what the coding and the limitations of that is, but it's often overlooked, where like the splash screen of the developer or the publisher is not normalized audio. So it's like, for me, my audio is often like dialed down to like 50%. The EA, yeah, freaking EA, dude. Freaking splash screens. They're so loud. Okay, so it doesn't look like it popped. So nothing popped for me. Maybe we'll go for a few more. Oh wait, I can tell. Wait. I know how to tell how long I've been doing this. Hold up. So we can go to our file settings, right? So let's see. We started. It's been an hour and a half. I mean, it's been 2 hours actually. I should be over or pretty close. It's been 2 hours. I'm starting to get scared, guys. I'm starting to get a little scared that I might have done goofed this. You'll get traumatized, humiliated, and spit on just for booting up Apex on— oh yeah, agreed. The one that I've heard the most that was super loud and it was long was 2K Sports. No, not 2K Sports. 2K Games. The Splash for Borderlands games. Freaking 2K. Arcade. Yeah, fair enough. I'm trying to think of another one too. I mean, let's do a deep cut, okay? Slight deep cut, okay? There's something that's always unavoidable, and we've already been normalized to this, okay? Here's a deep cut. If you, before this PC revolution, right? Before the internet, there were consoles. And let's just be honest with ourselves. The freaking console startup sound when you forget to turn down your TV volume? That's the stuff. That's the stuff right there. Where you just, oh no, it's so quiet. We gotta keep this quiet. And you start up your console, you're just like, the PlayStation, like the PlayStation 2, like the sound, or the Xbox, like blah 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 bubbly sound in the beginning, or the like the GameCube thing. Oh dude. That and psychologically it's just so much louder when you're trying to be quiet. You know what I mean? Like the stuff is just so much louder when you want to be quiet. Actually, there is a biological reason, but we won't talk about that. It's doing relative sensitivity to your ears. So yeah, when you're going from a quiet environment to a audible environment, like prolonged quiet, your ears are a little bit more sensitive, so you would perceive the noise a bit louder than, but it really didn't change. It's just louder. Oh, you missed the entire era of old intros on old consoles? Dude, those things are like baked into my brain. Yeah, what are the new ones? I mean, the Switch does the click noise, right? So does it do that whenever you start up a Switch? You just go click. I don't know what the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5 sounds like when it starts up. Or the Xbox. They're getting louder? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there it is! We did it! That's number 100! Although we didn't get the other... We didn't get the other thing, though.